welcome to ELD. Can you believe it's already the afternoon? I'm so used to seeing you during math time. That's so funny. Today we're going to read Miss Nelson is Missing. This book is dedicated to Luis. Este libro me recuerda de Luis. Because the first time I ever read this book to you guys, Luis said, Miss Steiner, I already know this book. I read it in preschool. If you also read this book in preschool, give Luis one of these. Awesome. So this book is called Miss Nelson is Missing by Harry Allard. In this one, I want you to be thinking about the setting. So where does this book happen? Where does this book take place? Miss Nelson is missing. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling, paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. Now, settle down, said Miss Nelson in a sweet voice. But the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. They were even rude during story time. And they always refused to do their lessons. Something will have to be done, said Miss Nelson. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. Wow, yelled the kids. Now we can really act up. They began to make more spitballs and paper planes. Today, let's just be terrible, they said. Not so fast, hissed an unpleasant voice. A woman in an ugly black dress stood before them. I am your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp. Where is Miss Nelson? Asked the kids. Never mind that, snapped Miss Swamp. Open those arithmetic books. Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work, and she loaded them with homework. We'll have no story hour today, said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut, said Miss Swamp. Sit perfectly still, said Miss Swamp. And if you misbehave, you'll be sorry, said Miss Swamp. Days went by and there was still no sign of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. Maybe we should try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmog was assigned to the case. He listened to his story. He scratched his chin. He said. I think Miss Nelson is missing. Detective McSmog would not be much help. The kids already knew that. Other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn and no one answered the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the wicked Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. They got away just in time. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by a shark, said one of the kids. But that didn't seem likely. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid. But that didn't seem likely either. I know, exclaimed one know-it-all. Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carried off by a swarm of angry butterflies. That one was the least likely of all. The kids in room 207 became very discouraged, and it seemed like Miss Nelson was never coming back. They would be stuck with Miss Viola Swamp forever. But then they heard footsteps in the hall. Here comes the witch, they whispered. Hello, children, said someone in a very sweet voice. It was Miss Nelson! Did you miss me? She asked. We certainly did, cried all the kids. Where were you? That's my little secret, said Miss Nelson. "How about a story hour?" "Oh, yes," cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour, no one was rude or silly. "What brought about this lovely change?" she asked. "That's our little secret," said the kids. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it up in the closet, right next to an ugly black dress. Look whose dress that might be. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song. "I'll never tell," she said to herself with a smile. P.S. Detective McSmog is still working on a new case. He is now looking for Miss Viola Swamp. I love that book. Thank you for reading with me, you guys. I'm wondering, what was the main setting of this book? Where did most of this book happen? Did you say at school? Because if you said at school, you are absolutely correct. Thank you for listening to my story, and I will see you guys tomorrow for our last ever Tuesday in kindergarten.